Sustainability is so hot, even the banks are doing it. Joining me is Peter Tuchman to weigh in on this new trend. So, Peter, let's talk about Blackrock. What did you find out?
So BlackRock CEO says sustainability is the top issue for investors. Here's what that means for your money. And, I like this story, okay? It's a fascinating thing. We've got climate change deniers all over the world. It's not clear that everybody's on board with that story yet. But net, what I'm finding, what's coming into my world recently, is the fact that sustainability and sustainability investing is a big deal. So you presented me with this story about BlackRock, one of the largest funds in the world, trillions under management. And Larry Fink, the head, is saying that they're finding that their clientele feels that sustainability and investing in sustainability in sustainable companies is really paramount to their business model. I kind of thought that people were poo-pooing it, that there are deniers of climate change, and that it really wasn't something that people were interested in, even though it's something I'm interested in. So what you're telling me is that BlackRock, one of the largest funds in the world, trillions under management, basically is taking an opinion that it's super important. I mean, as we go through the story that you describe, it's super important to know. Fink writes that the climate change is a major economic issue affecting housing prices, insurance markets, productivity, food costs, and more. We believe that sustainable investing is the strongest foundation for client portfolios going forward. So what they're saying really is that we need to get on board with this.
Very bold statements indeed, not just from you, but from the CEO of BlackRock. What are some examples of sustainable investments?
Well, look, originally when solar came out, that was a big. There were sustainable portfolios around solar and whatnot, and alternative energy ones. That never really caught on that well, and I'm not sure how they've done forward. But we saw for years there were a bunch for solar, and there were other companies that really couldn't get that business model going in a profitable fashion. I think it's a longer term story. But what we're talking about here is that there are forums and there is information out there about the responsibility model of companies like the Apples and the Facebooks, about energy companies, about the standards that they're following relative to personnel, environment, human resources, and whatnot. So the sustainability thing, while we look at it as a climate change story and as a energy story relative to fossil fuels and natural energies, right, it goes deeper than that. It's basically looking into the core business model that these people are and their business practices. And that's what makes something sustainable.
Yep, going vertically and thinking vertically into it.
Right, and that's something that as an individual investor, we may not be able to identify. It probably is impossible to identify. Our Apple's standards, the way they're treating people in their factories and whatnot. Is it the real deal? Are they doing the right thing? Apple's just one company I'm thinking of, but companies that are basically using workforce from outside the United States. What are those standards, right? So, but once you get somebody like Larry Fink and BlackRock, who has trillions under management, getting involved with that, Bloomberg coming out with basically a model where you're able to identify sustainability quotients within a company, well, then individuals, investors can invest in companies that follow those standards, and that now that funds are going to be doing it, that's a big deal. We can change the world $1 trillion at a time rather than $100 at a time.
And he's not just saying that he's doing this for his own personal reasons. He's saying that his clients are asking to be invested in this subject.
And that's heartwarming to me. I think that's super important because, people who are denying that this stuff is important, I have a problem with that, and I don't particularly like to get political on TV, but it's really sort of important, how people are treated, how the environment's treated, what the story with climate change is, because at the end of the day, 2030, 2040 is not that far away, and we've been told by scientists, whatever model you believe in, but scientists tend to, say that we're in a bit of trouble. So the fact is that they're making a bold statement and they're putting their money where their mouth is relative to sustainability is a huge deal.
Going green and making green. That seems to be the trend in 2020. And what?
Not being mean.
And not being mean. No, we're not mean.
No, we're green.
All right, that is Peter Tuchman here at the New York Stock Exchange floor telling us what is new with sustainability, how to invest in it, and that it is possibly one of the biggest trends in 2020.
Yes, sir.